The NFL Players Association had a statement yesterday, talking about the NFL's new anthem policy. Why did they wait so long to put this statement out?
Well, here's what they did. They filed a grievance, and they waited until the basically last minute they could file a grievance under the collective bargaining agreement, because I think they've been trying to work with the NFL behind the scenes, because this is not going to be a popular move, right? Anybody who is taking up the cause that ultimately supports players not standing for the anthem puts themselves in the target zone for all of the criticism, whether it's from the president or anyone else out there who insists that the players should be standing. So I think the NFLPA was hoping to work it out before they had to file the grievance. Now they've filed the grievance, and they plan to talk to the NFL. And that's what should have happened back in August of 2016. I put a lot of this on the NFL, Dan. They should have. The moment Colin Kaepernick was seen sitting during the national anthem in a preseason game, and the NFL told me, I said, well, hey, what's your take on this? They said, players are encouraged to stand but not required. This all comes from a flawed policy the NFL wrote 9 years ago. They should have engaged with the union then to come up with a policy that requires the players to stand. They didn't, because I think they didn't want to make a concession, because if you ask the union, hey, we want something, the union says we want something back. That's how it works. Now that they've waited 2 years, it's going to take a lot more, I think, to get the players to give in on that point than it would have back in August of 2016.
What would you suggest? What if you were mediating, like advising the NFL, how would you handle this flag controversy?
Well, I'd say, hey, NFL, you have to engage with the union, sit down at the bargaining table, and you want all the players to agree to stand at attention and respect the flag during the anthem, and you have to listen to what the union would want in return. And I don't know at this point what the union would want in return. A lot of times people say, well, get rid of the marijuana policy. Well, the marijuana policy, it's a non-issue, because if you're smart, you know how to avoid a positive test. I don't know that the NFLPA is banging the drum to get rid of that, but maybe there's something the NFLPA is looking for that, is fairly significant, and it's important to them, and this anthem policy is important to the NFL, and they could come up with some sort of a quid pro quo, a give and take, a back and forth to solve this. But I think the NFL's stubbornness contributed to the problem in 2016. They didn't want to give anything up to get a commitment to stand, and now that it's going to cost even more to make it happen, they don't want to do it either. They just want to ram it through the way that they choose. And if they have to fight, they have to fight. But they could lose, because the argument's very simple, Dan. Once this right exists, the players have the right to protest. The NFL gave them that right. You can't just take it away without sitting down and talking to the union. That's the argument, and it seems pretty commonsensical. And if the union wins that, then the policy gets rolled back to what it was before May, and the NFL still has a major problem going into the 2018 season.
Thank you, Mike, as always. We appreciate your time.
All right, Dan. See you, buddy.
That's Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, live on NBCSN, NBC Radio as well. Man, I hate to be dragged through another season with this, with it just kind of looming over the sport. It's just, and look, I know the networks hate this as well. The NFL doesn't like this, but here we go. And if you stay in the locker room, then we know you stayed in the locker room. That's just like taking a knee when you're out on the field. So it's not ideal. And I don't know where this is headed, and if it's going to satisfy enough people to come back to watch the game. Because there are markets that really reflected this, that they were not going to watch the NFL. I got to see some of the data, and it was some of the smaller markets, so it wasn't the top 50. It was outside of that where you got to see that these markets were dropping off in viewership. And they just thought, if you're not going to stand for the anthem, then I'm not going to sit here and watch the product, which is quite a stance.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.